Thousands gathered at Syria's Umayyad Mosque in Damascus for the first Friday prayers following fall of Bashar Assad's government. The prayers are particularly symbolic as in the early days of the anti-government uprising turned civil war in Syria, protesters would turn out en masse after visiting the mosque. Ahmad al-Shara, formerly known as Abu Muhammad al-Golani, the leader of insurgency that toppled Assad in a lightning 10-day march across the country to Damascus, congratulated the great Syrian people for the victory of the Blessed Revolution on Friday. After prayers, thousands went on to celebrate in Umayyad Square, the largest in Damascus.
Damascus, one of the world's oldest cities, holds a key place in both history and biblical prophecy. But what if I told you the Bible predicts a time when this ancient city will be nothing more than a heap of ruins? Today, we'll dive deep into the prophecy of Damascus found in Isaiah 17 and explore what it means historically and prophetically. Could this ancient warning have implications for our modern world? Let's find out. Let's start with the text. In Isaiah 17 verse 1, the prophet declares, "Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap." This is one of the most dramatic and specific prophecies in the Bible. Damascus, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, is foretold to face utter destruction, never to rebuild. This hasn't fully happened yet. Historically, Damascus has suffered devastating attacks, such as the conquest by the Assyrians in 732 BC, as recorded in 2 Kings 16 verse 9. While this fulfilled part of the prophecy, Damascus was never permanently reduced to a ruinous heap. It has always managed to rise again, which raises the question, does this prophecy point to a future event? Many biblical prophecies have what scholars call a dual fulfillment. An initial fulfillment in ancient times and a greater or final fulfillment in the future. In this case, while Isaiah 17 was partially fulfilled in the past, its complete and final fulfillment may align with end-time events. Despite centuries of warfare and turmoil, Damascus still stands. This leads many eschatologists to conclude that Isaiah's vision of total destruction awaits a future date, perhaps as part of events unfolding in the end times. In the book of Amos, we find a similar prophecy that reinforces Isaiah's warning. In Amos 1 verses 3 to 5, the prophet says, "Thus says the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, and for 4, I will not revoke the punishment, because they have threshed Gilead with threshing sledges of iron. So I will send a fire upon the house of Hazael, and it shall devour the strongholds of Ben-Hadad. I will break the gate bar of Damascus." Here, Amos foretells a time of severe judgment on Damascus for its acts of violence against Israel, specifically its brutal oppression of Gilead. This prophecy speaks not only of fire and destruction, but also the breaking of Damascus's defenses and the loss of its power. The fall of the Assad regime marked a turning point. Bashar al-Assad, the man who had presided over a decade of bloodshed and suffering, was forced to flee to Russia, seeking asylum. In his absence, a new era dawned for Syria. Islamist rebels, led by the charismatic Ahmad al-Shara, emerged as the new force in Syrian politics. But what happens to Damascus? The future of Damascus after the fall of the Assad regime is uncertain. While the city has been liberated from a brutal dictatorship, it faces numerous challenges such as security, economic recovery, and political transition. The ultimate fate of Damascus will depend on various factors, including the ability of the new leadership to address the challenges effectively, the level of international support, and the willingness of the Syrian people to work together for a better future. So, how should we interpret the prophecy against Damascus today? First, it reminds us of God's sovereignty over history and nations. His word is always fulfilled. Second, it calls us to pay attention to the world around us, especially the events unfolding in the Middle East. Prophecies like this one suggest we may be approaching significant moments in God's redemptive plan. While we can't set dates or make definitive predictions, the prophecy of Damascus offers a sobering reminder. God's plans span centuries, and his justice and mercy are sure. So, are we ready? Do we trust in him? knowing that his promises will come to pass?